I became a manager, I was very conscious about like hiring practices and things like that. Like I want to shape the team that is equitable and diverse and inclusive. And what does that look like, right?
I'm working on development of Canada's first lunar rover, which is just incredible to say the least.
For us to take a step back and reflect about our lives, and if we feel like we're in toxic environments or we're not getting the energy, I think that's a great sign to say, hey, maybe it's time for a change. And if not, how do I double down and continue the enjoyment in my journey?
Mental health is one kind of health that is deteriorating most rapidly on this planet right now. And it's scary because that's one that doesn't show, right? It's not a broken bone, it's not something bleeding, but it's there. How you have to go to the gym and work out your bones and your muscles? Similarly, you've got to go to a therapist and heal the wounds.
As a student, grades are important, but it's also how you present yourself. The grades don't define you. It's how you go out with the effort to talk to people, to network. I feel like that is really important. Sometimes we as students get caught up too much into our studies and all.
My name is Sonia DeBulio, and I'm the Director of Alumni Relations here at the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. I'm also a proud double grad of Chemical Engineering. With attendees from across Canada, as far west as Saskatchewan, from San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, the Philippines, Hong Kong, Panama, and Jordan. Before we proceed further, I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. This place is still home to the many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. A reminder that while this evening encourages open discussion, remember this is an inclusive space and ensure that you are being respectful to all of the attendees and their opinions. If you encounter technical issues during the event, please contact OJ Israin, who would be happy to help. He's one of our alumni relations officers, and you can send him a direct message. I now have the pleasure of introducing this evening's moderators. We have Layan, who is an IndE 1T2 plus PY, and then she also did her MEng here in 1T4. She now works in San Francisco at McKinsey Consulting and is always finding ways to give back to her alumni community while here in Toronto or in San Francisco. Layan is also one of the co-founders of YNCN. And for those of you who don't know what YNCN is, it's Your Next Career Network, which helps with professional development, does a massive career fair. Taleen is the youngest of the 4 Kutob siblings and to come through here in engineering, and she is currently a second-year student in industrial engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, Layan and Taleen.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Sonia also feels like a family member for us. We often, whenever I come back to UFT, Sonia is a person I always want to visit. So we're delighted to be here today. Taleen and I have had this vision for a while and are very excited to be celebrating International Women's Day with you all today. As Sonia mentioned, I'm Taleen's older sister, and I'm the eldest of 4 siblings that went all to UFT. We all started in the Track 1 program. It happens that we all landed in industrial engineering, and life took us in different paths afterwards from there. Was a launch pad for many of our professional career and paths afterwards. And when Taleen joined UFT 14 years after me, we found ourselves as siblings talk a lot about our time, how to make the best out of her time at UFT, what are the building blocks to set her up for success, because very quickly we all recognized that the 4 years or even the 5 years with PY passed very quickly. An idea started coming to life, which, Taleen, if you want to jump in and share more about it.
So yeah, the more we talked, the more I felt, lucky to have siblings that I can openly ask them anything about. The challenges that I'm facing, my advice on life, how to navigate through university, and so on. And I've come to recognize that not so many people have that, have such resources readily available, like my siblings. And this is kind of where the idea of Ask Me Anything came to life. So the goal of today, and in celebration of International Women's Day, is to break those barriers and to have honest and candid conversations with an incredible group of UFT women engineering alumni, and who we're excited to have the honor to introduce. I'm gonna start with Saima. Saima Fancy is a professional with over 2 decades of experience in chemical engineering, privacy engineering, law, and data privacy and security. She currently is a senior privacy specialist at Ontario Health and was a privacy engineer at X, formerly Twitter. Saima is a Chem 95 engineer from the University of Toronto with a minor in biochemistry and has a privacy engineering certification from Carnegie Mellon University. She's passionate about protecting consumer data privacy, and she excels in cultivating cross-functional partnerships to develop privacy-enhancing technologies. Yerusha Nu, an ECE1T4, is a UX engineering manager at Google. She co-leads Google Core's research execution team, which enables Google researchers to conduct research quickly and cost-effectively. Before Google, Yerusha was a software engineer at Yahoo and a consultant developer at ThoughtWorks. As part of her interest in furthering diversity and inclusion in tech, Yerusha leads the UX engineering Wonder Woman group at Google and actively promotes a culture of mentorship on her team. And finally, Matilda. Matilda Khoshaba, a MEng 2T1, is an assembly, integration, and test, or AINT engineer on Canada's first lunar rover mission at Canadensys Aerospace. As a previous intern at Canadensys, Matilda worked on the design, build, and test of a nano rover that introduced her to the exciting world of space AINT. Through training and mentorship from the team at Canadensys, she continues to build her systems and AINT skills in her current role as she plans the integration and testing of various rover systems. Now that we're done with the introductions, let's get started by diving into a fun question. Saima, Yerusha, and Matilda, what would you say is on the top of your bucket list?
I can go first.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Okay, top of my bucket list, I would definitely say is I really, at some point, I hope in my 20s, I'm currently 24, is backpack through Europe and Asia. It might be a little tough. I might extend it to be at least until I'm under 35 to do this goal, but I really want to do that. So that's definitely on top of my bucket list.
Because I work in the space of data protection via privacy regulations, security engineering, cybersecurity, and whatnot, I'm really passionate about protection of our data, especially very sensitive data like our health data and financial data. And what I find astounding is that we have children and they'll be like babies and we'll hand them cell phones and they'll be able to scroll and manipulate different apps, and they're going into areas and zones that could potentially be dangerous for them, and they grow up giving away their data without knowing all the dangers that are out there. So I'm hoping to be involved in the education side of things where we can one day mandate compulsory education of data protection within junior high school level, maybe even younger elementary level, because I think kids have the capacity to understand. If they can have devices in their hands and be able to download apps and be able to hack systems, they should be able to understand what it means to protect themselves online. And that doesn't exist right now, and it should go all the way into high school and university. So hoping one day to get there.
Yeah, it's funny, but I currently don't have a bucket list because I had a really short bucket list that I was lucky enough to accomplish already. I really wanted to, kind of try solo travel, like for an extended period of time. So I was lucky enough to be able to travel in New Zealand for 10 months. So that was really nice. And then the second thing was I really wanted to try skydiving, which I also got to do while I was traveling in New Zealand. So check those things off my list. And I'm currently, I guess I should probably have a new list. Yeah.
I love it. Skydiving was actually something I really wanted to do, and it was a fun gift from friends actually in university. A bunch of us went together.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Well, for me, I would actually love to visit Morocco one day. Layan, how about you?
I really want to go to an African safari. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I love spending time in nature and having varied experiences. So that's something up there.
All right. Thank you for sharing what's on the top of your bucket list, everyone.
I love it. I think I think it's really inspiring to see how varied of a bucket list people have. Everything from like personal passion to hobbies. So excited to hear how these go.
Yep. All right. So now for me, I'm curious about also what the audience has to say about their own bucket list. So feel free to, write it on the chat if you are comfortable to do so. Now, shifting gears a bit, I'd love to hear more about your career journeys. So briefly, Yerusha, how's it like working at Google?
Yeah, I have really enjoyed working at Google. I have been here for over 6 years now, I think. Time really flies. Yeah, so my role at Google has really evolved over time. When I first joined Google, I was part of a UX engineering team on Google Search, and my job there was to develop experimental features for search and really advocated for a user centric and iterative product development process. So that involved a lot of prototyping, involved a lot of like cross functional engineering work with not only engineers but roles of like researchers, designers, and other roles as well. And I was in that role for 2 years before I decided to move to a team that focuses on internal tooling and infrastructure. So that moved from like an external product that faces like, consumers out there to something that is internal. I really wanted the change of pace and just see how that felt to me. And I actually ended up really liking it. I've been growing my career on that team now. I became a manager. I now have a team that I lead. I also am a strategic lead for the research execution team here in our organization. So yeah, I really like the culture of innovation that we have here because we are working on internal products. It's really easy to just try things and learn from it and kind of make decisions more leanly, which is harder to do if you're working on something as established as Google search, for example. So I really like that aspect of that. I really like how friendly and open people are on my team, like on a personal level. And I think that personally to me makes a huge difference. Like being able to say that, like, I actually like a lot people that I work with and spend like 8 hours a day with. I think that makes like a huge difference, right? What do they say? Like if you go join a company or a team, you join for like the product or for the vision, but you stay for the people. And I think that's pretty much true in my case. I really like the freedom as well to kind of determine my own priorities, to really execute on things that I feel are the most important things for our users. So those are the things that I like about my job.
Awesome. Yursha,
Yeah.
what about what we all hear about Google? The good food, the perks we
Oh,
get.
yeah. Well, I can talk about that. Yeah. So we do get like perks, I guess, like food. So they provide like food, breakfast, lunch, and if you do stay like later, you can get dinner as well. So that's really convenient. I know my coworkers also use the gym benefit that we have at work. People can work out during the workday. I used to sign up for yoga classes and things like that. And yeah, so those perks are true, and they're pretty nice. And definitely can't complain. Like free food is definitely can't be beat.
Pretty cool. So Saima, you have varied work experiences. Can you tell us more about how is it like working at Ontario Health and X, formerly Twitter?
Yeah, for sure. I'll also say that I work with a great bunch of people and it makes work so much enjoyable. So that's really important to look out for environments where you do have colleagues who will help you grow and you enjoy coming in and working with them. So it's not just work, it's actually part of life, right? And you don't delineate that way. Ontario Health is really special because it's all about protecting data from an operational software engineering perspective. So what do you do when data arrives on your platform? How do you manage it? Do you look at it if it comes in unstructured, structured? From the moment that it's received, it needs protection because law mandates it. So my background in law and engineering and life science really feeds well into that because Ontario Health is health data, which is the life science aspect of it. So my biochemistry degree really helps me with that. And then the chemical engineering side of things, where engineering, we learn processes, systems, that really plays in well. And then my legal side, actually understanding laws and regulations and how, what the implications of that are to make sure that data is protected properly, because there are repercussions if you don't. Prior to this, my experience at Twitter was really different. It was in health space, it was social engineering space. And there I was working as a privacy and security engineers before, well, Mr. Musk came along and changed history, right? And there it was a lot of fun too, because we were working, first of all, I should tell you what a privacy security engineer is. They're engineers who are translators between front-end developers, UX designers, UI designers, legal, comms, marketing. So they sit at the center of the world and they're able to translate amongst all of them, just so that those tweets that were coming onto the Twitter's platform could be looked at such that it was in compliance with laws and regulations, depending on where the tweets were in the world. So we had to be aware of the GDPR in the EU, all the laws and regulations in the US, in New Zealand, Australia. So that was really cool because you had so many elements to play with, not just the science and engineering aspect of dealing with tweets and the nature of those tweets, right? So I love the space. And my engineering background's contributed an immense amount for me arriving here. And you're right, it was twists and turns before I got here. From working as a chemical engineer, working in labs, so looking at my biochemistry background, working in law firms where I was working as scientific legal advisor, and then bringing it all together to arrive as a data and privacy engineer today.
This is really neat. Simon, I think you sit at a very interesting intersection because, you know, when you hear about this topic, I would imagine like not many of us would know, you know, what does that really mean? But like you're literally the glue. Like this is the most important topic today. Once, so it's really neat and incredible to see how your engineering background has allowed you, you know, various experiences to land at such an important spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And engineering, for what we understand it traditionally, will morph into other forms of engineering as time goes on, right? You're already seeing, you heard terms like prompt engineering, security engineering, right? Data engineering. What is all that? What is that going to be? Is that going to be taught in universities eventually? I think so, because data is our biggest asset. It is the new oil. It is the commodity. It's worth more than oil, gold, silver, all our minerals and important assets out there, right? So I think universities are going to move towards these newer forms of engineering educational principles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I feel like it comes to show how engineering doesn't restrict you in any way. It actually, is
absolutely not. Yeah, definitely. All of us with our different disciplines of engineering backgrounds are going to be forever be able to use it and manipulate it and transfer those skills into anything that we want to do. And I'm a prime example of that because I had so many different interests, from life sciences to engineering to law to I ran a manufacturing factory up in Northern Ontario, Peterborough, Ontario, where the factory ran 24/7. And I was fixing machines one day, so we were printing labels for hospitals and labs all around across Canada, fixing machines one day. Next day, I'd be in boardroom working with bankers and customers, right? So you get such a plethora of experiences. So in this case, I learned how to run a business. So with an engineering degree, you can do absolutely anything. It's fantastic.
This is awesome. And I think a great segue to Matilda, another flavor of what you've done with your engineering
Hello. Yes. Hi, everybody again. So I'm Matilda. I'm an assembly, integration, and test engineer at Canadensys Aerospace. What's it like working there? It's kind of really cool because I'm kind of in that situation where I like what I'm doing and I like the people I'm working with. Which I've found with a couple of my friends is actually not very common. So I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity I have to be here. Super fun. I'm working on the development of Canada's first lunar rover, which is just incredible to say the least. I'm having so much fun learning a lot. I've only been here for about 2 years now, full time, and I also did my PEY internship here for 1 year. So I guess 3 years total. It's been definitely a wild ride. There's a lot going on right now. We're currently in our development stage of the rover. So in total, we have 3 stages. We have like a development stage, a qualification stage, and then the actual build of the flight model that would fly. So we're still in the development stage right now, and it's coming to an end soon. So there's a lot of testing that we're finalizing and documenting, and there's a lot going on, and it's really cool. It's made so much more enjoyable because of all the great friends I have here. I'm very honestly grateful to have like a lot of the coworkers here are my friends, they're not just my coworkers, and yeah, it's just a really incredible time here. So yep.
Awesome. This is
Yep.
awesome. And like I love the consistent theme I'm hearing about love what you do, and people always come first no matter what.
100%, yeah.
A reminder for us to take a step back and reflect about our lives. And you know, if we feel like we're in toxic environments or we're not getting the energy, I think that's a great sign to say, hey, maybe it's time for a change. And if not, how do I double down and continue the enjoyment in my journey? Which takes us to a bit of a broader theme about taking the pen in your life. Would like to kind of, you know, building on that theme of you ladies authoring your own journeys, take us back to from your days at U of T all the way to where you're at today. What are kind of big moments in your life that, you know, be it at U of T experiences, how it shaped you as a leader to certain qualities and mindset that you had that allowed you to be where you're at today? What would be these big pivotal moments that you'd want to highlight and share? And maybe Saima, we'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I had the privilege of doing my 2 degrees, one in Faculty of Arts and Science, one in Faculty of Applied Sciences and Engineering, which was a real treat. U of T gave me the bandwidth to do these 2 degrees, also gave me the bandwidth to enroll in courses that had nothing to do with sciences. So I'm a philosophy nut. I love to learn about existentialism, wanted to learn about Aristotle and Socrates. And whenever I had a moment, I was able to do that. I was able to just jump off the bandwagon and spend my extra time in the summers, you know, work in the daytime, and in the evening I would go to school at U of T and take all these courses. And I'm really grateful for that, because those credits actually added towards my degrees, which was excellent. But more importantly, holistically, it made me completely into a thinker that I am today, because I truly believe that if you are in the sciences field, you need to embrace the arts. Without the arts, we are not complete. You know, we need to be able to think holistically about this world. Why are we doing what we're doing? It's not just about making money. It has to mean more than that. And U of T gave me that. It gave me the space to think about what I want to do, and I want to be passionate about it. That's why my journey has been the way it's been. It was like I was never satisfied. I was in life sciences, wasn't good enough. I was in engineering, working as an engineer, that wasn't good enough. I was in law, that wasn't good enough. I needed more. I needed to have a reason for why I do what I do, and I finally landed into that. And I'm so grateful that I've got all this education and experiences to come to where I am today. And the pivotal moment was when all the data breaches were happening in some of the big companies like SolarWinds, Cambridge Analytica, right? When all this information came leaking out, and that just clicked in for me, because I had to understand the software side of what was happening. I had to understand the data side of what was happening, because I was learning about why are these breaches happening? What is Facebook doing? How did Cambridge Analytica's members being linked to their friends allow all their information to get leaked, right? So there was all these elements that you had to understand. And that's how I came to the final viewpoint that, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. And U of T is a huge part of that.
It's incredible, Saima, you know, about like the benefits of like, you know, when you're in a world-class institution, you know, how do you, and like we're still connected to it, be as a student today or as an alumni, how do you really tap into all these different resources and options, bring different things together? Like we don't need a linear path in life or like linearity in what we focus on, which is incredible. Maybe shifting to another interesting aspect of taking the pen in your life, Urusha, you've also authored your own journey by picking up and going to a very different country. Talk a bit about this, and also like maybe how U of T enabled you to do some of that, and how did you continue authoring your own journey through the rest of it?
Yeah, so right after I graduated in 2015, because I ECE 1T4 plus PY, I got a job in San Francisco that was at a tech consulting company called ThoughtWorks, and I was really excited for that job. And like one of the things, I guess my bucket list at the time was to like kind of move away from my family and really explore and really find my own person, discover who I am, and all that stuff. Because some of you probably did that while in university, but because my family lives in Toronto, I was still like, for the most part, kind of living with them. So I really wanted to like kind of get that distance and really truly find myself. So I moved to San Francisco, and like in the beginning, it was pretty hard because I didn't really have, a lot of established friends there. So I really had to, find my way, really be brave, and put myself out there. And some of the things I did was like, go to meetups and just say hi to people, which is, if you're so used to like, the U of T kind of university way of meeting people where you just automatically have classes with your friends, like every day, you just kind of go to suds, go to the pit, and like there's always going to be faces that you see. That's like definitely not the case in like adult friendships, right? There's not really like any one place where you congregate and just kind of see your buddies. So I really had to intentionally make that space happen by putting myself out there, going to activities, like going to classes, and really introducing myself to people, things like that. Yeah. So that was difficult, but I think rewarding as well. Like now, I really feel like San Francisco is home, and I've established like a big group of friends here, my support network, and I still really really like enjoy those relationships here. Yeah.
Can I just intervene? You, Risha and Matilda, wouldn't you both admit that networking has a huge element to play in our successes?
Yes.
Right?
I think
Right. And
so.
this
100%.
and being in a really good social environment helps with that. But guys, network, network, network. Be active on LinkedIn, be active within your corporations, be active in social circles, join a lot of associations, even when you're in the workforce, to ensure your success both laterally and vertically. That is critical. I mean, both Layan and Taleen are doing exactly that, right? And I don't think that should ever stop in our career, in our journeys.
Yeah, definitely. Building relationships, like both professionally and in your personal life, I think is really important. Like at Google, where I am right now, I think, even me moving teams within the same company, or being having opportunities to work on projects that, were uh, high profile and things like that, I feel like we're really helped by a lot of networking and just being active in the community and connecting with people. And not like in this kind of, I think when you say networking, people kind of think like in a fake way, but I really like to like actually become friends with people.
Right.
So like being genuine, like not being fake, but like really getting to know them, and kind of thinking about like, oh yeah, like this is stuff that we have in common, or how can I help you take your goals further and work on this stuff that we're both excited about, like together, kind of thing. Yeah.
On that end, like would you um how would you go about, finding your network, branding yourself, finding even mentors for like mentorship? Maybe Matilda, you can talk about that. How did you go about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll take a step back just for a second, just to explain kind of my journey and how I got to the point where I needed to network. When I was in I guess first and second year, it was more my second year where I really realized I really wanted to get into aerospace. And I was in a MEng degree, and there was no aerospace stream or anything like that Eng Sci offers. And the only aero related course was aerodynamics, which kind of wasn't totally what I wanted to do, although I still took the course. So I realized that if I was going to get into an aerospace company, I needed to get some kind of relevant experience in space or in aviation. I wasn't sure at the time where I wanted to go in terms of those two subcategories, but what I did is I kind of sat down and I had this little book. It's a book where I write down all my goals, and every goal I've written down in that book, I've always made it happen. So it's like once it goes down in this book, I'm going to make it happen. And what I did is I started writing a plan. So the first thing I did was I said, okay, I need to just join a design team that's related to kind of aerospace somehow. So that's when I joined UTAT. I joined the rocketry team. I kind of joined multiple subsystems when I first joined, just to see kind of like where did I fit in, because I wasn't really sure which subsystem I liked. So I think I joined like propulsion structures, and it might have been aerodynamics at the time. So that was one of the things that were in my plan. All of this was like, by the way, I was just thinking like, I need this stuff for my resume because I want to show that I am interested in this field. So design team was really good. The other thing I did was I said, if I'm looking for an internship, I have to find something in the aerospace field, because that would be relevant job experience that I could use later on. So what happened there was I actually applied first to Airbus in the UK, and I ended up actually getting that internship, but due to COVID, it kind of got canceled like last minute, and I was super stressed out and I was really down about it. And then last minute, out of nowhere, literally within a week, I found on the PEY site, Canadensys Aerospace was hiring. I applied, and within literally a week, I got the internship. Really close to the deadline, like it was in August or something. So super insane. But I think getting the internship in a space company, and then also joining the design team, and I should also say networking on LinkedIn. And by networking, I mean I literally found people that had information that I might want to know, and I messaged them, I DM'd them, and most people did not reply, but a lot of people did reply, and a lot of the information was really useful and relevant to me. I even before, like I was kind of considering doing a master's, so I even messaged people about masters, about everything, just getting their advice. So I think U of T definitely provided me like the opportunity to, like, for example, have get on a design team that's relevant to what I want to do, and provide me, like the PEY office provided me the resources to get to an internship that I wanted. I also used, I think there was the engineering career center. I had them help me with my resume, with my cover letter. So definitely made a huge, it was a huge help in getting me to where I wanted to go. So yeah.
From an alumni perspective, I got a lot of help from U of T as well. The first time I joined LinkedIn, I was offered free courses on how to maneuver through the whole platform and how to best profile myself. And those tricks and techniques were gold. I mean, they're the reason why I'm able to get as much traction as I do on the platform. There isn't a single job that I've gotten in the last 5 years that hasn't been because of LinkedIn. Wow. I give LinkedIn full credit. I mean, there people, for example, Twitter, that job, people reached out to me. They knew that I graduated from Carnegie Mellon University as well, and that I was an engineer and whatnot. And they said, before it goes to public, we think you'd be amazing at it. Apply because of your legal background, your philosophy background, and all of this. You fit perfectly into this mesh. It never got out in public. I applied 2.5 months of rigorous interviewing later with 6 software engineers and 2 lawyers. I got the job. But honestly, network. Sometimes it is as valuable as your degree. Your degree can only take you so far. It's what are you going to do with it? How are you going to personify yourself? What is the persona that you want the world to see about you? That's going to be the selling factor, so to speak. You are your own brand. So establish it, develop it, enhance it. Use LinkedIn to do that.
This is a great reminder. And I think, you know, the idea of, and it's never too late to get started, you know, like it's never too late. It's an important thing in our journeys as a student, like the examples that we heard, Matilda, all the way Saima, through, you know, your own, you know, experience as a leader progressing across different pathways in your career. So a big takeaway for all of us is focus on your personal network, your branding. It's never too late. And clearly LinkedIn is such a big part and becoming like a key asset in today's world.
Yeah. And can I add, Layan, that also give back? Because you can't just be a taker. You have to be a giver as well. It's a two-way street. So for example, I mentor a lot, not just engineering students, but also students in the privacy and cybersecurity and security engineering field. And As a result, I was able to secure a mentorship with All Tech is Human. It's an NGO based out of Manhattan, and they're really, really well known about how to practice responsible technological innovation. And that was just a game changer for me because I love mentoring, especially young women in STEM areas. So you have to give back as well, because that's how people see the transaction as being fair and equitable, and then they want to invest in you.
This is incredible, Saima. I think it's also a great reminder. And I think, just immediately as I think about the audience we have with us today, an immediate way our thoughts is like through U of T, think how can you give back? That's an immediate network that you're part of. And then from there, you could continue expanding or just look into your network and the groups that you could give. Matilda, a quick question before Taleen takes us through the rest of, our own authoring our own journeys. What's on your goal book? Any other big goals that are there?
Oh my God, that's a good question. Let me see.
Think about it and we may put it in chat if you're not
Yeah,
ready.
yeah. Give me a second. I need
Sounds
to.
good.
I'll
Sounds good.
send it in the chat.
Taleen, back to you.
I was hearing from the conversation, like as a student, grades are important, but it's also how you present yourself. The grades don't define you. It's how you go out, put the effort to talk to people, to network. I feel like that is really important. Sometimes we as students get caught up too much into our studies and all. But yeah, this is very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. So now we're gonna pivot and talk about a very important topic, which is mental health. Now, we all have our ups and downs in life, and that is inevitable. It's bound to happen. Now, which naturally, brings us to the concept of mental health. Now, the question goes out for everyone. Could you share your personal experiences with mental health challenges, how you navigated through them, and if there were any resources or strategies that you found particularly helpful? Maybe Matilda, we can start with you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna actually start the story back as a student. So in my first year of engineering, there was kind of a lot of challenges. First of all, I just felt there was a huge pivot in terms of how the content of what I was learning. It was kind of a big jump for me. And also there was the aspect of kind of being in a new place. I'm not really knowing many people yet. I basically went there alone. No one from my high school went to the same program as me, or even in engineering in general in that year. And so there was kind of a lot happening. And I think as a result, I did deal a lot with some mental health stuff. And as a result, I actually got put on the T program. I'm not sure if everyone is aware of what the T program is, but basically if your average in your first semester is under a certain number, you get put on this kind of probationary program. And I kind of, due to my struggle with my mental health and really not really attending to it the way I was supposed to, it really got to a point where I just couldn't put in my effort into the T program. Into school, and as a result, I got into the T program. And I was talking to my to the person in the program that was assigned to me, and she was telling me, she's like, I have two options. I can either take a break and come back next year, start fresh again, or I can try to continue, but I was required to always have an average over a certain amount for the next 4 semesters. So all the way up until second year. And I ended up deciding to stay and really push and go forward. And I think what was important about that time is that I didn't actually realize that what I was dealing with at first was actually just related to mental health. I didn't actually put a word to it, if that makes sense, or a name. It was kind of oh, this is just what it is. It's normal, or it's how I am. I'm just different, or things like that. And I think really focusing on, hey, maybe I do have something that I need help with, and I ended up getting a therapist. U of T, I found offers actually a pretty good amount of money in our health benefits to pay for therapy. So I did use that, and that helped a lot. Friends also helped so much. They really there's something about just people. When you have a good network, it's always, you could push through anything. But yeah, with that said, obviously till this day, I still deal with mental health stuff. I still would recommend, talking to people, getting professional help if you need to. I think that's helped me so much. And yeah, it does get easier is what I could say. And you kind of learn how to cope with things more as time goes on, and that's what makes it easier. So it's not really that it kind of goes away, it's more that you get stronger and you learn how to cope with it. So that's what I found on the journey so far, and I'm sure there's going to be more to go. So yeah, that's me.
This just shows the importance of surrounding yourself with people that understand you, know what you're going through. There's nothing wrong with like seeking help, and eventually you have the ability and the strength to turn things around. Irusha, how about you?
So yeah, so for me, I think my mental health stuff kind of journey starts also in university. I think yeah, the first therapist that I saw was also the U of T therapist. So that's funny that we kind of went through the same thing. But I was just being stressed about like, engineering is really stressful, obviously stressed out about that, and also like other personal things going on. So having that resource was actually something that I guess kind of shed a light, like very, very initial like light on this, like, oh, I have like, this thing that I have to be cognizant of, like take care of and really kind of be mindful of my anxiety levels and things like that. And then one experience that while I was in university as well that I think really helped me kind of realize the value of like a support network, to echo what Matilda said, is I had this summer internship where I was working and I felt like I wasn't doing a good job, and I was feeling a little awkward, blah, blah, blah. But I had a mentor there that, uh, for whatever reason, he really believed in me. And this was somebody who went to U of T as well. So he was an alumni. And after that summer job, he ended up like giving me like a side gig of like, hey, do you want to help me out put together this project, a side thing. And he like actually paid me for my labor and stuff, which really made me feel like, oh, okay, yeah, like, I feel like I'm doing okay. And maybe he doesn't know this today, but I feel like that experience really was really formative for me. Like, it really changed the way I looked at my own contributions, like, to like stuff, and also the value of my labor, and that it's okay to like not know things. You can like ask questions, like as somebody who at the time was really, really new in the industry, like it's fine to need help and all those things. And now as I'm like growing my career, I'm definitely trying to be emulating that further, like, kind of what Saima was talking about, kind of giving back, right? It's like now that I'm a manager, I'm a lead in this company, I really try to be open about these things, like really establishing a safe environment for my own team. I'm open about like my struggles with anxiety, and whenever I talk about it, people seem surprised. Sometimes they're like, well, you're so like good, you're so high functioning or whatever. I'm like, thanks, but like, everyone has an internal struggle that's not always visible to everyone, but we all have feelings and our own emotions and our own challenges, which is why it's like really important to always have like empathy to people. Sometimes there are bad interactions, but just kind of take a step back and say, did this person have a bad day? Did this person have like problems in their personal life that maybe it's not on you, but like it's more of a just life happens, right? And then kind of modeling people to be able to like voice their needs if they need like help in these areas, like talking about it, letting them know, hey, these are the company benefits for like mental health. You can get a therapist, blah blah blah, and just really removing the stigma about that as well. So just remember also in your career, it's like a marathon, not a sprint. If you don't have the endurance, you're not going to last. Like I've seen people who like burn out because they work so hard and then they just burn out. And like, it's not, I think you need to think about sustainability. You're going to be here for like a while, right? So you need to develop resiliency, develop a strong support network, develop coping mechanisms and skills, maybe through professional help if needed. And yeah, we're all in it together.
Great reminder.
Saima, how about you? What would you
I echo what both these ladies are saying, and then some, because I am ahead of you. I'll say one thing. Empathy is the denominator of humanity. You are a human before you're an engineer, right? And always remember that that's our driving force. We are in a particularly tough program, and supporting one another is what's going to get us through. My 5 closest friends right now, I went to school with in engineering. We graduated together. We've been together ever since. Our kids have grown up together. They've been a support system for me throughout how life's happened to me. I've gone through a marriage breakup, a divorce, revamping my career. They've been there for me throughout. They were there for me in engineering. They've been there for me to this day. So I echo what both of you are saying. Surround yourself with good human beings who practice empathy, who practice resilience, who want what's best for you. Learn how to identify those allies and stick to them like glue. And that propagates into the corporate world, into your work world. To always try to find good human beings to align yourself with. Your education can only take you so far, but your humanity will take you to the end of the universe. And that's the formula to it all. Because mental health is one kind of health that is deteriorating most rapidly on this planet right now. And it's scary because that's one that doesn't show, right? It's not a broken bone. It's not something bleeding, but it's there, and it's critical that it be looked after. So I'm so glad that U of T is offering as much help as it is. And I implore everyone who needs the slightest bit of help to go get a therapist to talk about their issues. It helps so much. You know how you have to go to the gym and work out your bones and your muscles? Similarly, you've got to go to a therapist and heal the wounds that are irking at you, because just ignoring them is not going to make it all go away. It just gets worse.
Absolutely.
And that goes throughout life.
Excellent advices, and a great way to like wrap up such an important topic with some of these parting ways, thoughts, Saima. And for the benefit of the broader group here, we will be sharing after this event in our follow-up notes some of the resources available for folks, because it's an important part that we need to take care of ourselves in. We talked about our life, authoring it, the journey, the ups and downs, and how to get ourselves out of the low moments. Another important aspect, especially, being a woman engineer, is many times you're the only one in the room. So that's another big challenge we face. It has its pros and cons, it has its challenges, but also has the unique strengths that we as women bring to the table. Would like to go around, I know we're running a bit out of time, but would like to go around sharing very quickly a quick thought on a challenge and how to overcome it. And then we could talk a bit quickly about the strength that we celebrate as women engineers, or being just the only one in the room. Let's go in the reverse order. So Saima, we'll start with you.
Sure. There've been many teams where I worked in where I was the only female engineer. I have to tell you all that my strongest allies are men. My mentors have been men. They have really taken me back beyond the finish line. So never ever discount the power of cross-gender relationships. Having said that, I do have to tell you, reality is what it is. My pay would be less than my counterparts. It's still happening. And that battle is still being fought, and we need to make sure we're aligned to fight that battle and have the men join us in doing that. I don't know why that's still happening, but it is. We are as capable, we are as intelligent, if not more, I would argue, because we're mothers and wives, and we are multitaskers as well. But that is a challenge that's still existing. I've been very fortunate to have some really, really amazing men I've worked with in the engineering field, and they've been really supportive. But there is that level of discrimination that's hiding, that in my case was within the pay level of things. Other than that, in terms of socializing aspect of things, I'm very fortunate that I've not suffered any discrimination in that regard.
Really good to hear. Actually, Saima, to your point, to limit some of the discrimination, what California is now mandating is whenever you post a job, you need to put the range of the salary. So this
Yes.
gives you an idea. Sometimes you see very wide ranges, but at minimum, it's bringing that upfront transparency.
Exactly. Canada needs to join into that. Yeah.
Yerusha.
Yeah, for sure. As a ECE, now working in the tech industry, I am familiar with the feeling of being the only person in the room that's a woman. One of the teams I was a part of previously, not at Google, but like I think I was part of front end engineering, where I was literally out of, I don't know, 15 people, I was the only woman. So it's definitely not something that I'm not used to. That being said, I think it is getting better, and that's thanks to like the work of women across the board, and also like allies. I think allyship is like very very important. I agree with Saima what she was saying, like being able to like gain that kind of support is like huge as well. And I think to echo the theme of like first of all building resiliency and like mental health stuff, like getting help when you need to, because all these types of forces, right, that sometimes are out there and that's just the reality of things, can really bring you down sometimes. Like I've had interactions where I felt like, okay, like I was like maybe getting less respect than my peers or whatever. And I think it's becoming less and less frequent as you kind of move up in seniority in a company, because you've kind of like proven yourself, like people have seen that you're capable. But the fact that you have to prove yourself to even receive the same level of respect and trust is still a problem, right? So these are things that are still, again, ongoing. You need to be able to like be resilient, develop coping mechanisms, but also kind of like actively push back against that, like pave the way for the next generation of women, right? So for example, when I became a manager, I was very conscious about like hiring practices and things like that. Like I want to shape the team that is equitable and diverse and inclusive. And what does that look like, right? So helping to create that culture that really examines the existing structural inequities and maybe forces that um, puts some people at a disadvantage over other people, and being really the person that makes a change in that system, right? And I know it's really hard and it seems like kind of impossible sometimes, but I kind of think of it as like, you do what you can in small ways every day and model that. And I have seen that changing as well. Like my team has gotten like a lot more equal in terms of like gender distribution over the years. So it seems impossible, but you can make small differences, I think, and that's really important to like model that in your day to day.
Be consistent in that
Yeah,
change management aspect. Absolutely.
yeah.
That's excellent. Matilda, any final words on that?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say that I've dealt with imposter syndrome literally ever since I started at U of T, even as a student. I think that was kind of a big part of, or maybe some part of like the kind of struggle with my mental health as well. Because I feel like there isn't just the actual, like obviously there is the unfair treatment of, I guess, women. That is a real thing, but if you also maybe struggle with self-confidence already, it's kind of like double trouble or something. But basically what I'm trying to say is I have dealt with it since then. I'm very, very fortunate to not have had to deal with any like crazy situations at work related to that. I've actually have very, very like supportive coworkers, and there's never been any kind of discrimination in that sense, which I'm really happy about. But it doesn't really change the fact that internally I still feel or I still deal with imposter syndrome. I think I can talk a little bit about kind of what I'm going through right now, where it's kind of like I feel like sometimes I need to do more than maybe what is necessary. Like, first of all, obviously it's always good to do your best. So like, you don't have to just kind of go there and do the bare minimum and leave. Like, I really love what I'm doing and I want to do more, but sometimes it's even like it's about the thoughts. Like, am I doing this because I don't want them to think, oh, like she can't even do this. Is it because she's a woman? Or am I doing this because I actually want to? So it's about the reason why you do stuff. And I think sometimes I struggle with with that. So I'm still kind of figuring it out. I think what's been helping me is focusing more on like, let me develop my skills and let my skills speak for myself. Like, let me look at the facts. Are people actually telling me something that I'm doing is inadequate, or are they telling me, yo, good job, like that was awesome that you did that? And let me see what's actually being told to me, and let me try to like internalize that and not like maybe listen to the thoughts I'm having inside a little bit. So I'm kind of trying to focus on doing that kind of thing, but it's definitely something I'm still figuring out. So not there yet, but
That's really good. Like, let's look at the facts as opposed to just like, what's it.
yeah.
I know we're coming at time. Taleen, go for it.
Going at time, unfortunately, but we have like a final question.
Rapid fire.
Fire question on final words of wisdom. So, what would your final words of wisdom be? We can start with Yerusha.
Oh man, I had to go first, right? Final word of wisdom. I guess like be brave. It sounds so cliche, but I think so many things that like I feel like, really limit myself in my life is at the end of the day, like this fear, this inability to just like try something, to just like do it, just be brave. Things are going to be hard. Things are going to be feeling like impossible sometimes, but as long as you have those things like coping skills and like a great network and like people you can lean on, um, just take a plunge. You are more capable than you think you are capable. That's what I've learned over and over again. Even something that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to survive this. Like I survived. So
excellent.
That is my little nugget.
How about you?
Sorry, Taleen, we lost you. Saima?
Oh, myself. Number one on my list, I will never say no to me. We are our own enemy. We shut ourselves down before anyone else can shut us down. So what do I mean by that? So there's this amazing job you found on LinkedIn, right? It has 10 items in this job description, and you start checking off. You're like, oh man, I can only tick off 3 out of 10. I can't apply to this. No, apply. Why are you saying no to yourself? I caught myself doing that a few times. It's some stupid AI that came up with those 10 requirements. No human being had actually put input into it. And statistics show that we women tend to put ourselves down before anyone else can put us down. So please, please don't be in the no camp. Say yes to yourself. Go for it. Take the plunge, like you're saying. Be brave, believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself enough, find others who believe in you so that you can take the plunge. Because if you don't, no one else is going to do it for you. You are your own brand. Develop it, relish in it, and fly with it then.
I love it.
So I would say, for me, if I were gonna like say tell my younger self as a student who kind of went through a lot in university, give her some advice, I would say to not be so hard on yourself. I would tell her that the situation I'm in is not where I'll always be. All things pass and I will get through it. And basically like the situation you're in is like, you should always kind of keep your thoughts and your goals and your mind and your actions focused on where is it that I want to be, not kind of like related to where you are right now. Because I feel like I pushed myself down a little bit sometimes because of where I was, which slowed down the process to where I could have been. So yeah, that's me.
Those are like great pieces of advice that I personally would want to embody and remind myself of. So we've come at time, and with that I'd like to thank you, Saima, Yerusha, and Matilda, for taking the time to share your personal experiences, your successes, your challenges, and your unique perspectives on being a woman in engineering.
Echoing Taleen, it's really heartfelt thank you. I feel this conversation could go on forever and like we won't get bored. But really, thank you so much, and thank you for giving us the honor to celebrate International Women's Day with you. And with that, we'll hand it over to our MCs from WISE for the breakouts. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
So thank you again to our